Okay, so what is an ICF credential? Well, it's a professional certification that we have that says that we've met a specific standard and developed specific coaching skills, and that we're according to the ethical principles of the regulating body, which is ICF, and that we are committed to developing ourselves as coaches and developing coaching as a profession as well. And why is this important? Well, in 2022, we had a survey done which said that 85% of coaching clients said that when they were looking for a coach, they considered a credential to be an important part of that search. So that's why we really have certification levels, and we promote them heavily, of course, within our profession. So I'm sure you're all aware that there are 5 requirements of an ICF credential. There's education knowledge, your experience as a coach, mentor coaching, some sort of performance evaluation, depending on what type of coaching course you've taken, and there is a knowledge exam as well. And the 5 requirements exist no matter which credential path you're choosing, whether it's ACC, PCC, or MCC. And the process for getting through the credentials and then being approved takes typically about, well, you know what, for ACC, it can be as quick as 4 weeks, but for PCC, it's typically 14 to 18 weeks, which is based on the recordings and how long they take to process. So where I would like to start is with what education path you are currently on or you've been on, because this really determines how you're going to go for your credential. So if you got your coaching designation before 2022, then the language that we use to describe your course is very different to the language we use now. So we would say that you were on an ACTP, ACSTH, or a portfolio pathway. And since 2022, it's been much easier. It's level 1, level 2, or level 3. So it's much clearer on what it is, because people got very confused between the ACTP and the ACSTH programs and what the difference between them. So how do you know which program you've been in has what path? So the easiest way to find that out is on the certificate from the program, and you need that certificate to be able to apply for a credential. We also have on the ICF website a education search tool. So you can put in the name of the coaching school where you did your training, and you can see what they have been designated, so that you can use that. Or if both of those fail, then you need to contact your coaching school to find out what kind of level you have currently been awarded. Are there any questions around that? Okay, so this is what the education search service looks like from the ICF website. And as you can see on this page, I've typed in my training organization, which was Royal Roads, and it's come up in the search, it's come up with that I did a graduate certificate in executive coaching, and it's also come up with that they're a level 2 program. So, you know, it's very easy to do this, and you know, if you're not sure, give this a try, very easy. So what kind of education do you need for each credential? So I'm going to focus on ACC and PCC, seeing as there's no MCCs in the room. So for ACC, you need 60 hours or more of approved coaching hours. And for PCC, that's 125 approved hours. So again, you should be able to tell from the program you're on as to how many hours you have been awarded. I would hope that the minimum would be 60 for most programs in North America. You do need your certificate. when you are applying. So that's the first step you need to take. Make sure you have the certificate. You're going to need to upload it onto the ICF portal for your credential level. The second part of your application is about your experience. So for the ACC program, you need 100 hours. You need more than 8 clients. 75 hours out of the 100 have to be paid, and 25 hours have to be within the last 18 months. And the way you're going to log this is on a coaching log. So I hope everybody has the coaching log that's ongoing. Until you get past your MCC, you want to really keep that going and making sure that you capture everything. So for PCC, what we're looking at is 500 hours, more than 25 clients. Of the 500 hours, 450 hours must be paid and 50 hours must be within the past 18 months. MCC is a little different, just so you know for the future. For MCC, you must hold your PCC first, and then you have 2,500 hours, more than 35 clients, and 2,250 of the hours must be paid. But there's no requirement for any hours to have been in the last previous months, and that's because you've got to hold a PCC anyway. So you must have had that when you had your you had hours when you had your PCC. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the coaching log. So your coaching log must have the name of your client. So on my coaching log, I just use the first name and the first letter of my client's surname. Some sort of contact, whether that's a telephone number or an email, the date you coached them, and for how many minutes you coached them. And you keep that record and tally it up till you hit any one of these 3 goals. Now, when you go on to do your credential, this is an honor system. So you're not asked to upload your coaching log. What you are asked to do is to declare that you have the number of coaching hours that you're stating that you have. Sometimes ICF does an audit and they will ask for a coaching log, especially if they see something that doesn't look quite right. But for the most part, it is an honor system. Anybody got any questions around experience and requirement? I see Andrea's got her hand up. Andrea?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, for PCC, those 500 hours, do they include the 100 that you, like I've got my ACC and I submitted 100 hours there. Is that included towards my 500 for PCC?
Absolutely, yes. You don't have to start from 0 again. So at ACC, you've already got 100 hours. So now you need another 400 to meet this requirement.
One other quick question. I think I know the answer to this, but for paid hours, that includes hours that you, like I work in-house at a large organization as a coach. So those hours are considered paid. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Alison, I see you've got your hand up as well.
Yeah, my question sort of follows on from the previous one about internal coaching, working as an internal coach or an organization. So for those hours, I get they're counted as paid and they can be there. Would I still need to maintain that log the same way, or is it enough to have the letter from my employer that says, Alison coaches, whatever?
I would recommend that you have the log. Absolutely. So that there's no question around this. Yes, you can have a letter from your employee saying that, X% of your job is coaching, but I would actually keep the coaching log. Okay. Because if ICF ever come to you, it's the coaching log that they want to see.
I didn't know if I guess I can look further into it, but I didn't know if my understanding, I guess, was that the internal coach sort of like having that letter and having that say that it supplanted the need for the logging, but
yeah, you know what, I like very much, in my experience with ICF, I like to go with what they're familiar with.
Yeah.
And the coaching log is definitely what they're familiar with.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks.
And Lax, you've got your hand up as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I myself also work for an employer. Since I got my coaching certificate from Royal Roads as well, I have worked for multiple employers, but I've never kept a coaching log. So in that case, you know, I think I graduated, it seems a long time ago, it's pre-pandemic. If I don't have a coaching log, but I've kind of done volunteer coaching here and there, in that case, would an employer letter suffice? And I can go back to my employers during that time and get those letters, but I don't have, like when I've met with I work in HR, so I coach quite a bit. I don't have a coaching log.
I would actually have that conversation with ICF Global directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be the best place to get a lot of clarification about your particular situation.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I do recommend everybody has a coaching log though, even if you're working internally, because it just makes it so much easier, so that you know exactly when you're hitting these goalposts, right? You know exactly when you're there. It just makes it super simple.
And there's a question in the chat for you, Nicole. Is group coaching and coaching related training or events hours counted?
Group coaching, yes. Coach training, no.
Great, thank you.
Okay. All right, I would like to go on to mentor coaching. So this applies to all 3 credentials. It actually applies to renewing your credential as well. So for mentor coaching, what you need is 10 hours of mentor coaching. Of that 10, at least 3 must be individual one-on-one mentor coaching sessions, but 7 can be in a group coaching session. And the sessions must be conducted over a minimum period of 3 months. So that's pretty clear. What you need to apply is you obviously need the name of the mentor coach, their email contact, and you need a start and an end date of the mentor coaching. So you need to track that, because what happens is when you submit the name and contact of your mentor coach, the system automatically generates a verification email to your mentor coach. So now you and your mentor coach have to have the same dates. Okay, so it's really important that you get your dates right and that they are more than 3 months. If they're less than 3 months, your application won't be accepted. All right. That makes sense to everybody. I think that's pretty easy. Has anybody got any questions around mentor coaching? Yes, Siobhan.
Okay, so if you do 7 over 2 months and then put the 1-to-1 in the 3rd month, is that okay?
Yes. So you actually do have the option of adding more than one. So you can add a group 7 and an individual mentor coaching option on the website, and 2 verification emails will go out. Does that make sense?
So as long as the start of the group coaching and the final 1-to-1 are over a 3-month period, you're okay.
Correct.
I understand. Thank you.
And there's a couple of questions here. Is it mandatory? I guess that means the mentor coaching. And if your mentor coach happened out of the coaching program, do you still need to do it?
Okay, so the 10 hours of mentor coaching is mandatory. It's mandatory every time you apply for a new credential and every time you renew your credentials. So it's mandatory. You do not have to use a mentor within the program that you're in. You can use any mentor coach that you wish. Does that answer that question for whoever posted it?
I asked the
Yes.
question.
Okay.
I asked the question about so within our coaching program, we did the UBC program,
Mhm.
and within it is included the 10 hours of
Yeah.
mentor coaching.
Mhm.
So I guess my question is, do we just go back and kind of identify who our mentor coaches were? And then, okay, good. I'm checking from the nods.
Absolutely.
That's
Just
actually what
pick,
we do.
yes, just pick one of your mentor coaches, put the dates of the program, because it's more likely that if you were in a program like an UBC, that it occurred over, the mentor coaching probably occurred over a 6-month period. So put the dates of the program and just pick any of the mentor coaches that you worked with, and they'll verify it for you. And Marianne,
Another question is, what is the average cost for a mentor?
I've no idea, because it's very different. Some programs, like the one Annette was talking about, include the cost of mentoring within the program. Some don't include the mentoring. Some include the group 7 hours of group coaching as part of the program, but they don't include the 3 individual sessions. So I think it's very variable. So I don't have a good answer to that. I'm sorry.
And another question is it 10 hours of mentoring every time we renew our credential?
Yes.
But renewal of credentials is not annual. That's
No, it's every 3 years.
right.
Andrea.
I was wondering, I'm required to get mentoring hours for 2 different things at the moment as I get ready for my PCC, but I'm also getting ready to apply for a PAAC for the ADHD coach program.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm assuming I can, but I could use those hours for both, right?
Yes,
I don't.
that's right.
Okay, thank you. Just want to check.
Yes.
And the question also that came in is somebody has already applied to sit the certification exam and doesn't recall listing the names of the mentor coaches. Is there something missing, or is that going to happen at another time?
So I'm going to talk about this one. So if you've already got the email for the exam, you must have completed that requirement. Okay. So let me move on a little bit, and I'll show you why it is you may not have had to complete it. All right, Marianne.
Yeah, so if the mentor coaching doesn't have to be in a program, does it have to be by a certified coach? And if so, then do we have to submit specific structure of the mentor coaching? Like, is there anything specific, or do we just say that we did have 10 hours of mentor coaching and that's what happened in that coaching session?
No. So you need the name, and all you need is the name and email contact of your mentor coach. However, your mentor coach has to be, for ACC, has to be a PCC coach or above, or has to have been an ACC coach for a number of years before they qualify as a mentor coach. For the PCC level, your mentor coach has to be a PCC coach or an MCC coach.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and for the MCC, your mentor obviously has to be an MCC coach.
Okay.
So your mentor coach has to be at a level that's higher than you.
Okay, thank you.
Shobna, you've got your hand raised.
I do, thank you. So I'm just confirming that the hours that I got from my UBC course, and then I got my ACC right after, those mentor calls, those mentor coaching hours don't count towards my PCC?
Correct.
So
Because, yeah, you've got to do them again, yes.
Okay, thank you.
The questions are coming in fast and furious. Is supervision coaching the same thing as mentor coaching?
No, not at all. And there's no requirement for supervision, coaching as part of the credential process.
And where was it here? 10 hours of mentor coaching. Is there a specific time period for the PCC that it has to be applied?
Yes, 3 months.
Right. It's minimum 3 months. It's got to be more than 3
It's
months.
got to be, it's a minimum of 3 months, yes.
Is there a maximum?
No.
Okay, and do mentor hours count towards CCEUs?
No.
All right, let's go.
These are great questions. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so I want to go on to the performance evaluation. I get tons of questions every week about this, and it's one of the reasons that we're doing this session. So performance evaluation, there are 2 paths. So if you are in path number 1, level 1, and you are doing your ACC, then your performance evaluation is through your school. All right, so you will do your recording and your evaluation through your school, and it will be using the process that your school have put in place. If you are in the old ACSTH system, or you're on a portfolio path, then you need to submit 1 recording. So that's ACC. So I'm guessing most people will fit in path number 1, where you're doing the recording through your school. For PCC, if you are in a level 1, an old ACSTH program, or the portfolio path, you will need to submit 2 recordings. If you are in a level 2 program, like the UBC program, like the Royal Roads program, you do not need to submit a recording. And that's because those are university programs. They have internal audits on quality. They also have credentials associated with them. So you get university credentials, and you have to do a capstone coaching exam. So you do not have to submit a recording. Most people fit into this path number 1, the level 1, but in the Vancouver, Victoria area, because we have 2 level 2 schools, we do have a number of coaches who fit into this no recording needed. And then thinking for the future for MCC, all MCC applications have to have 2 recordings. Does anybody have any questions around the recordings? Catherine?
If you're doing a level 1 and you want to go right to your PCC, you can use 1 recording from your school program and then just do a second one.
Yeah, you can do any. You can do. You can use any recordings you want.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Does that apply even if your certification lapsed?
Ooh, that's a good question, Margot. If your certification has lapsed, well, my recommendation would be to call ICF and have that conversation, because if it's just lapsed, if it's just a short period of time, then that might be okay. However, if it's been a number of years, then I'm guessing you're going to be asked to resubmit. Anything else, Margot, before we move on?
Is there a maximum amount of time after completing the education component the credential must be obtained?
No, you can apply for your credential anytime.
And there's a question here about what is the level, and I think you've already answered that earlier in the.
What is the level?
What is implied by level 2?
Okay, so level 1, level 2, level 3 are the designations that the coaching schools have based on how they are structured in the courses that they offer. So a level 1 school would typically be a coaching school not attached to an educational institution. A level 2 school would usually be a coaching school that was attached to an educational institution.
And also then for the PCC renewal, do we have to submit recordings? I
No.
think that's for renewals in general, no.
No recordings for renewals. Shobna, you've got your hand raised?
Thank you. So for the PCC submission,
Mhm.
I did a capstone for UBC, and would that count as the
Yes.
recording?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, you don't need a recording. You sit in this box here, the PCC level 2, no recording needed.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, so these are the requirements for the recordings, regardless of which level you are at. So the recording has to be more than 20 minutes, but less than 60 minutes. This is extremely important. It has to be with a regular client. It cannot be with a coach. There is a caveat in there which says if a coach has approached you to provide coaching to them and you have a paid contract agreement with them, then you can use a coach. My recommendation is not, because as a recording assessor, I can hear when it's another coach. Okay, so use somebody who's not a coach. You have to have written permission from the client that you can use the recording for credentialing purposes. You need to have an audio file which is 95 megabytes or less, and it's in a specific format. You've got to name your file with letters and numbers only. I recommend you use your name in there somewhere. And you must have a transcript of the recording that isn't in the same language as the recording, and it can't be interpreted. So these are the recording requirements, regardless of what level you are applying for. Just going to start moving on to, before I move on to the exam, does anybody have any questions about the first 4 levels of the credentialing process? Okay, so in early 2023, actually it was in 2022, the ICF credentialing exam changed. And I'm just going to talk about, some of you may have done the old exam. I'm just going to talk about the new exam. So if everything passes, so if your education experience, mentor coaches has verified, and your recordings have passed, you will get an email from ICF inviting you to take the credential exam. So it's the final step in your application process. And the reason we have the exam is really to provide a standard so that we can assess that all coaches understand what their core competencies are, and that we're all in alignment in terms of the practice the practice that we are doing as coaches. And in every stage of the development of the questions, from an ICF perspective, because the questions do get updated, you know, it's subject matter experts who are used to update and validate new questions. So the ICF credential exam is divided into 4 domains, and they're the main domains of our core competencies. So they're divided into our foundation, co-creating the relationship, communicating effectively, and cultivating learning and growth. And you will see that on this chart, each of the 8 competencies has been given either a 12% or a 13% weighted amount. So that's how much you get asked in each category. So you can expect that for each core competency, there will be an equal number of questions. Okay, so the exam format itself, it's administered by a computer. So there's a bank of questions, and it's randomly assigned and administered by, you know, a computer. It's delivered in a proctored environment. So it's either proctored online, or you can go to a testing center. It's 3 hours. and it's divided into 2 sections. So once you complete section 1, you can take a quick 5-minute bio break, and then you start question 2. And this is really important because the questions are actually in 2 banks of questions. So when you complete bank 1, you are unable to go back once you've finished. So let's say you miss a few questions in bank 1, you have to go back to them before you go on to your 5-minute break. You won't be able to go back to them at the end of bank 2. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah, okay. There's 81 exam items, and they are all based on situational judgment tests. So they provide you a coaching situation, and you have to judge what the right answers are. So what does that mean? Well, you're presented with a sort of a coaching scenario, and you are given 4 responses. And from the 4 responses, you're asked to pick what is the best course of action I would take in this scenario, and also what is the worst action of the 4 presented. So there's 2 answers for each question. And we used to have 161 exam questions, but we've come down to 81, largely to help those who are maybe doing the exam in a second language, who need more time to read the question. The questions themselves sometimes are quite long, so this gives people a more chance at an equal playing field. Okay, so the scenarios set by the questions set the stage, and really they're asking about what do you notice from reading this scenario? How are you synthesizing the information that you're being given, and what competency are you being asked about? So in the exam, you know which domain you're in. So if you're co-creating the relationship, you know, it shows you on the exam page that that is what you are being asked about, because some of the questions, depending on which domain you were in, you might have a slightly different answer. So out of the questions, what tends to happen is that you are given 3 options that could be true, okay? And what you're looking for is which answer best fits the domain that you're in. What I like to say to people as well is also pick the answer that you would do first, okay? Make sure that's this is the thing I would do first. And there's usually a really bad one, okay? So that you know that's the worst action. So you've got to read very carefully the 3 other answers, because in different situations, you might say, yes, I would do all 3. We're asking for what's the first step you would take and which one best fits the core competency that you're being asked about. Are there any questions about the best and the worst answers? Margot, anything in the chat?
I've lost my questions. I have to go find them again. Sorry.
No problem. I'll come back to you in a second. Okay, an exam scoring. So you get it. It's sorry, Lorne, go ahead.
Yes, I heard that in the answers there are 2 that would be considered possibly good answers and 2 that would be considered bad answers. Are you saying that really it's 3 that are usually optional, good options, and 1 that's clearly a bad option?
I'd say there's 3 that are fair options and 1 that's definitely a worst option.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So how's it scored? Well, you get a point for each answer. It's as simple as that. So you get a point for the best answer and a point for the worst answer. Marianne, I see your hands up as well.
Yeah, actually, I had a question in the chat box that I think got lost, and
Okay.
that are there any help books for the exam? Usually, when you have an exam, there are books that you can take and.
Yep, absolutely. So if you go onto the ICF website, they do have some sample questions that you can look at.
All right, thank you.
Okay. this is where, just to give you some sense of relief about this, because I don't want people to think it's hard, but I think that the hard piece about the exam is more around the time it takes to do than the actual reading through the questions and deciding which is the right answer. The average completing time, this is really important, is 170 minutes. So most people are taking the 3 hours. And what I say to anybody who's doing the exam is put those 3 hours aside, take your time, and make sure that you read the questions very carefully before answering. So it looks like from the stats, that our latest stats from ICF, that is the case. Sorry, did not mean to do that. So the exam pass rate across every domain is about 70%, and then the pass rate among people doing it for the first time is 76%. Okay, and of those who've completed the exam, you can see, you know, over 90% have earned their credentials, so they've got it first time. So, you know, if you're going for your ACC or your PCC, it looks like, you know, about around the 90% of people pass the credential the first time. The MCC is, it says here 93%. It's a very small sample size, and I'm going to be honest and say I don't know any MCC who has passed. They've passed the exam, but they haven't passed the credentialing process the first time. And it's the recordings that, it's usually one of the recordings that gets sent back, and you have to redo the recording. So that's my experience of the sort of the MCC group. I think a lot of us have that experience.
There's one question before you go on, Nicole,
Okay.
and is the exam the same for the ACC as for the PCC?
Yes. Same exam for everybody. And if you do need an accommodation, there's actually an accommodation request form. So if you need extra time, you can fill this out, and the ICF will organise different options for you, including extending your exam time. If you are doing English, if you're doing the exam as an English as a second language person, then they will give you an extra 60 minutes, for instance. They can provide separate testing rooms. They can provide someone to read the questions for you if you have sight issues. There's lots of things that they can accommodate. So if you need an accommodation, please fill out this form, and that will certainly help you. And the exam is available in a number of different languages. So, you know, there's lots of options there if you don't want to do it in English. For people who don't have a exam in their home language, you can ask for the additional 60 minutes. And there's also bilingual dictionary, and you can also request a translator, although that usually comes with an additional cost. Okay, so here are my tips for preparing for the exam. Make sure you know the ICF core competencies inside out. Make sure you know the ICF Code of Ethics. Think about common coaching situations and what would happen if you had, say, a organization that came to you and wanted a report about somebody who they sent to you for coaching. What would you do in that situation? Have a look at recordings done by coaches, and maybe recordings done by yourself, and see what core competencies you can see in those recordings. And also look for what does it look like when a core competency is not demonstrated. So for instance, if you were listening to a recording and somebody didn't have a coaching agreement or contract, whatever you call it, then that might be something you might want to think about.
So do you want to stop for 2 questions?
Yes, sure, go for it.
Do you need to go through these certification steps every 3 years?
No.
And
Just once.
just once. And that's for getting your credential.
That's
These are
right.
credential certifications. This is not renewal.
No.
And then the other question is to clarify, if the exam is the same ACC and PCC, and you already took it for the ACC, you still have to take it for the PCC?
No, you only do it once.
However, they've changed. So for instance, when I did the ACC, I don't think it was the same exam. So I think I have to do.
Oh, right. Okay. So if you've got a credential on the old system, yes, you have to redo the exam.
Yeah.
All right. So here are some resources that can help you. ICF on the website has exam frequently asked questions. Pearson, who are the invigilators or proctors for the exam, have a FAQ as well. They also have a what to expect when you're being tested. So this is important because when you do the exam, they're very strict on some things. So for instance, you're not allowed to have anything on your desk at all. So your desk has to be cleared, and they do ask to look at the area around you as well. So you have to make sure you've got it right before you start. You also have to provide your ID so that your ID matches the application. They have a lot of different videos available for you as well, so that you can learn how to set up your so that your internet connection, whatever, is tested in advance, and you know what's going on. If you lose your internet connection, what happens in those circumstances? They've got a lot of information about that. And they do have a test system that you can run on your computer to make sure that their system's working before you take the exam. Lorne, you have your hand up.
Yes, so just a quick question. I work in two places in my home, and the place I'm thinking of doing the exam in is actually in my bedroom with the barrier behind me or a divider behind me. Will they be? Everything will be cleared on the desk in front of me, the bulletin board in front of me, but there will be a divider behind me, and behind the divider is my bed and some books and so on. Is that a problem?
I would check out the exam rules. So on this list here, there's one that says on view exam rules, and just see what they say about that. And I would definitely put the books away.
Yeah. And the exam rules, is that available on the ICF website? All these links?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And they, when you get the exam, you should get these links as well at the same time, so that you can go through and do things like your systems check.
And Shobha has a question, clarifying a previous question. This person took the new exam at the beginning of 2022. So they won't need to take the exam again?
Correct.
Okay.
If you did the new exam, you don't need to redo it again. Okay, so taking the exam, read the scenarios very carefully. Don't overthink things. Just read the scenario and pick the best, or what you would do first, the best answer. The answers that ICF give may not be what you would actually do in practice, okay? So don't let that get in the way. Just read the answers and pick the one that best fits the scenario. And you're always looking for which one is aligned to the competency on which you are being examined, and which is least aligned to the competency you're being examined on. And here are some resources. So you've got your ICF core competencies. There's a video series and some detailed Credential webinars that ICF is about to launch later in the year. I'm going to give that detail on the next slide. You've obviously got our code of ethics, and there's a ethics video series. You can also do a 2-hour ethics course, which I recommend everybody does anyway. It's valued at 2 CCEUs. So that gives you a really in-depth piece in terms of the ethics. You might have samples, some coaching courses do have sample questions or specific credential courses, you know, review those. Reflect on what the feedback you've received from your mentor. Your mentor's always given the feedback based on the core competencies. So that in itself is extremely valuable, because then it shows you in your own practice where you're hitting those markers. And for the PCC exam, for the PCC credential, there's actually different PCC markers. So look at those before you do your PCC. They are very detailed about what it is assessors are looking for, especially when it comes to PCC reportings.
A couple of questions.
Yes.
Go ahead. A couple of questions. Will we know right away if we've passed?
Yes.
And does the mentor need to be trained as an by ICF?
The mentor has to have a specific amount of coach experience, but at the moment, there's actually no specific qualification needed by a mentor coach. We're working on it. I think by the end of the year, we might have something a little bit different. Some people have taken a certified mentor coaching course and gained a credential, but it's not required by ICF. Okay, and you can go onto the ICF website to the mentor registry and find a mentor coach on there. They are from all over the world, so you need to definitely put it down to your region, but there's a lot of mentor coaches on there.
And then where do we find the link for the 2 hours ethics course?
It's on the ICF website. So if you go to the Code of Ethics, you'll be able to find it on there.
Right. And a copy of this presentation?
Good question. I'm not sure about that yet. And the reason I'm not sure is because I don't want, I think what we are going to do is we are going to post the recording, but because things change at ICF, this would be out of date probably in a year's time. So I would hate to think that you'd go back to this maybe in 2 years' time and find that you had the wrong information. Okay.
The question, I think, is also because of the links that are here, they would be valuable.
Yeah, okay, then all the links are on the ICF in this particular presentation are on the ICF website. Okay, so ICF does have a more detailed, this is just a brief information session, but there are resources on the ICF website as well. So you can see there's some videos. There's a live session coming up again on June the 12th about the credential exam. There's on October 3rd, there's a session on the difference between mentor coaching and coaching supervision. Actually, that's on demand, so that should be available pretty soon on video after that. So there's definitely some pieces on here that you could do now if you needed to. And in addition to that, ICF pretty much every month, not every month, every 3 months, sorry, does a credentialing Q&A session where you can go and ask questions specific to your situation. And I will just put this up because I always like to promote ICF Vancouver. Please stay connected with us. Sign up for our newsletter where we do things like post the credential series and give you the links for you to be able to register. Please connect with us on social media so you can see the events that we have coming up. Okay, you don't have to be a member of ICF Vancouver to receive our newsletter. Anybody can receive that. Okay, so are there any final exams before we close out for the evening? Sorry, any final questions, not exams. Good grief.
I think 2 people have just arrived because there was a notification that went out moving it to 4 p.m. and that may have been missed.
Okay.
So I'm just announcing that to the 2 people who have just arrived because.
Okay. So to the 2 people who've just arrived, we have recorded this session. and we will give you access to the recording.
And then, yeah, I think everything else has been answered.